Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Also on behalf of my colleague Willy van Riet, welcome to our mid-year press conference. My colleague just told me that Austria has won the first medal in the Olympic Games, which is good news. As regards our results for the first half of the year, I would say that regardless of turbulence in a number of markets, we generated a good result. Our net result increased from 6 to 27 million euro. Revenues have remained stable at almost 1.5 billion. Organic development, that is adjusted for one-off foreign exchange effects, shows a positive trend, plus 1%. Negative foreign exchange effects amounted to almost 30 million. Operating EBITDA down by 1% at 178 million in the first half of the year. This is also due to negative foreign exchange effects, mainly from the British pound and the Polish zloty. Organically, growth was plus 9%. So once again, we have provided evidence of our strength. We are able to grow even in difficult markets. Another thing should be borne in mind. Last year, we had a higher income from the sale of non-core real estate. In 2015, 15 million in the first half of the year. This year, only 4 million in the first 6 months. So we have a strong operating growth, and gross cash flow has increased by 10% to 147 million. Let's take a look at the individual segments. The divisions of Wienerberger. Clay Building Materials Europe, that is Eastern Europe and Western Europe. Operating external revenues slightly increased. Operating EBITDA significantly higher. We have been able to increase our sales in individual markets, and also we increased our average prices, and we generated significant growth in Eastern Europe. Let's take a closer look at Western Europe. Of course, it's a mixed picture. The first half of the year, of course, was marked by the upcoming referendum in Great Britain. There was an atmosphere of uncertainty regarding the decision and further developments of the economy that led to a decline in the British market in new housing construction. That also had an impact on our deliveries from the Netherlands to the UK. In revenues and in operating EBITDA, we saw a decline, but we were able to compensate for that in other markets. Of course, there was the effect of the steep devaluation of the British pound in the first 6 months. We found a positive market environment in the Netherlands, where the market is growing again in new residential construction. We have seen positive signals in Germany and France. Growth rates in single and two-family home construction. In Belgium, we do see a slight decline in new housing construction. Belgium is an important market for Wienerberger because we are represented there with our entire product range. Other markets that are declining slightly in Western Europe are Italy and Switzerland. Their residential construction is sluggish, but nevertheless, in this environment, we succeeded in generating stable revenues and a stable EBITDA. In Eastern Europe, again, a mixed picture, but we were able to obtain significant growth in external revenues, in volumes, and in particular a strong improvement in operating EBITDA by almost 50%. This is due to the fact that our plants are working at a higher level of capacity utilization, which reduces production costs per unit. Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania, as well as Poland saw an increase in sales in roof tiles and clay blocks. These are the most important product groups for us in the region. The market environment in Austria, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia is stable, slightly positive in the individual markets. The only market that is really declining in the region was Russia in the first half of the year. But now, in recent months, we think that developments are bottoming out in the Russian market. So altogether, a very positive development in Central and Eastern Europe. I move on to the second division of Wienerberger, that is pipes and pavers. External revenues down by 7%, operating EBITDA also down by 7%. This is due mainly to Eastern Europe. In our Eastern European project business, and we are talking about sewage network constructions, water supply, wastewater disposal. We see fewer projects there because in the new EU programming period, funding has not yet come in, or there have been delays, and therefore fewer projects were launched in the region. That relates to civil engineering, sewage construction, but also pavers, surface design, which affects Semmelrock. So we saw a decline in the number of incoming orders. A second issue that has had a negative impact on our business is international project business. You will remember that we have two major fields of international project business. Our Solu Force project group, product group for the oil and gas industry, and then the large length and large diameter pipes. In both cases, we saw a decline in revenues, which of course had an impact on our results. If we take a closer look at Western Europe, pipes and pavers. Here we are talking in particular about the Nordic countries. Pipelife is a leading supplier in the Scandinavian countries and in Finland. These markets were stable, slight growth, and had a positive impact on our result. In this area, international project business, which I just mentioned, is important and, as I said, had a negative impact on the volume of incoming orders, and this accounts for the slight decrease in our results. As regards ceramic pipes, again, we saw a decline in our revenues because from Germany and Belgium we supply products mainly to Eastern Europe, and their business was muted. In Eastern Europe, we see a decline in project business, external revenues down by 10%, operating EBITDA down by 15%. It's important to bear in mind, though, that there has been growth in Austria, so we're doing well, and investment activities are quite lively also in Slovakia and the Czech Republic. And the downturn was seen mainly in the classic Eastern European markets like Poland, Hungary, and Romania. We see a similar trend in concrete pavers. There, the downturn is also due to tough competition, particularly in Poland. North America has been highly satisfactory as regards the economic development. External revenues have gone up by 7%. Of course, you have to bear in mind that last year we had high income from non-core real estate sales, which we don't have this year, and we also closed down a small plant. So one-off effects last year were high, but we are growing steeply and strongly in North America, and we think that this is a sustainable development. An improvement in our operating EBITDA. So altogether, stable revenues, almost at the previous year's level, a net result up from 6 million to 27 million, and gross cash flow up by 10%. When you look at organic earnings improvement in the second quarter of 2016, you can see that organically we have been growing slightly, and EBITDA is up also in organic terms. And I think what holds for the second quarter also holds for the summer month. Brick business is doing well. Pipe and paver business is going down slightly, particularly in Eastern Europe. North America continues to do very well. And with this, I'd like to hand over my colleague Willy van Riet for the detailed results. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning also from my part. Now, if we look at the income statement for the first half of 2016, you can see that revenues are stable in organic terms, even up by 1%. I will tell you later how this comes about. EBITDA almost the same as in the first half of the previous year. Again, we have to adjust that for the negative foreign exchange effects. Those were effects that were not foreseeable at the beginning of the year. Some of it is due to the devaluation of the British pound. The Norwegian crown also has had an impact, and the zloty as well. The euro is quite strong, I would say, and only the dollar has remained more or less stable. So considering that, we have an organic increase in EBITDA by 6%, which is a good performance. Depreciation, we are slightly below, in terms of depreciation, below the previous year's level. And as regards our operating EBIT, almost the same as last year. Again, including the foreign exchange effects. We had no impairments to assets in the first 6 months of 2016. In the first 6 months of 2015, we had a minor impairment on our assets in Russia. We don't need that this year. And our EBIT is 16% higher than the previous year. The financial result has improved significantly. This is due to the fact that our net debt is down and interest rates are low. They keep going down. And we also have an even better financing structure. I will tell you more about that later on. And we're using our cash flow more effectively. Investment income from not fully consolidated subsidiaries has also gone up slightly, and this leads to a profit before tax of 64.6 million compared with 39 million last year. We are paying taxes. Well, we're good citizens. We are paying taxes, particularly in Western Europe, where our results are strong. So we are paying taxes in the amount of 21 million in total. But profit after tax is 42.8 million. Of course, we also have to pay the hybrid coupon. And what remains net, really net, is a net profit of 26 million compared with 6 million the year before. So thanks to our savings, thanks to the restructuring of the group, we have improved our results, not only in operating terms, but also financially. We saw a stable development of revenues. Volumes are flat. An increase in volumes in clay building materials and a slight decrease in pipes and pavers. As Heimo Scheuch already said, altogether, we succeeded in increasing our prices by 1%. It doesn't sound like much, a price increase by 1%, but in an environment of deflation, even in some cases, or at least a very low rate of inflation, it's difficult to increase prices, but we are doing that nevertheless. And the FX effect, minus 2%, that is almost 30 million. Consolidation effects are negligible. Revenues, 1.5 billion, practically the same as last year. Broken down by segment, as you can see here in a summary, this reflects the strength of our portfolio. Clay building materials, an increase in Eastern Europe, a flat development in Western Europe. Diverging results in different regions. Pipes and pavers, Western Europe, more or less stable, a slight decline due to the shortage of international projects. And pipes and pavers in Eastern Europe, we see the effect of fewer public sector orders and less tendering activity. North America, it says minus 47%, but it would have to be plus 36% organically speaking if you adjust that for the one-off income last year from non-core real estate sales. So a good performance overall in the first half of the year. This picture makes it even clearer because it shows a breakdown by product, a very balanced contribution of our products to revenues, 23%, 17%, and the contribution to EBITDA is also very well balanced and stable. Housing construction is doing slightly better. Public sector construction activity is going down, but nevertheless a continued increase. Cash flow development. This again reflects the strength of the group. Gross cash flow has gone up by 13.5 million. For seasonal reasons, we always see an increase in working capital, particularly during the first 6 months. And we're bringing that down in the second half of the year. But here again, we were doing better. Although we had stable revenues, we were able to bring working capital down slightly. Normal capex, similar to the previous year. Divestments, again, within the framework of the previous year. And that gives us a free cash flow, which is significantly better than it was in the first half of 2015. We've used this free cash flow for growth investments. We made a smaller acquisition in Eastern Europe and another one in Finland. We used the free cash flow for that. And as you will remember, we paid out a higher dividend for 2015 because we anticipated better results, and the hybrid coupon is also higher because in 2015 we had the impact of the split of the hybrid. So altogether a net cash flow of 176 million net cash outflow, and that is due to working capital, basically. So it's all very stable. We still have a strong balance sheet. We've always had it. And you can see that the net debt is going down at the end of the first quarter. 2015, we were at 785 million. Now, as of the 30th of June, we are at 699 million. So net debt is going down. And the growth from 534 million at the end of 2015 to 699 million at the end of June is only due to seasonal effects. Equity ratio 53%, gearing is low at 35%. Our term structure, this is a bit more complicated. We used 144 million cash. We used half of our credit lines, that is 200 million to finance the 195 million working capital. That will be brought down again. We have a very well-balanced term structure over the coming years. And we will see what we're going to do with our hybrid capital 27 and 2014. So we used our credit lines, what they're there for, that is temporary build-up of working capital. The treasury ratios are strong. You have to compare that with the first half of 2015. We're slightly down because of the working capital, but 1.9 times net debt to operating EBITDA, we are way below the covenant of 3.5 and also below our own target of less than 2 at the end of the year. And cash will be coming in the course of the second half of the year. So we are really well on track. As for the outlook, I hand over to my colleague again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen that in the first half of this year, again, our performance was very strong. As my colleague pointed out, the balance sheet is very positive. We have enough reserves for further growth. This is what we want in the future. Our strategic focus for 2016 is to come up with innovative products and system solutions. We want to achieve growth in the brick business with the M brick, that is filled bricks with mineral wool in Austria, in Germany. Here we have a 2-digit growth. This also holds true for the pipe sector with our innovative pipes. For sewage systems and water supply, we have high growth rates in Northern Europe. Operational excellence. As you've seen, we manage the cost situation very well. So we are working on savings in terms of energy and other costs. We will complete the sale of non-operating assets. So in Western Europe, in North America and Eastern Europe, we are going to complete this program. And this is also important, we have targeted growth with small and medium-sized growth projects. One of these projects was in the Helsinki region, where a supplier for sewage systems was purchased in Finland, then a brick manufacturing plant in western or southwestern Poland, which fits very well into our program, and another plant, a brick manufacturing plant in Romania. So these are targeted growth investments, which we have implemented and are going to continue to implement. When you look at the market situation, there has been a slight change since the beginning of the year. In North America, we have an increase of 10%. This is a very stable growth rate. The Canadian business and the Canadian market are also growing. Let's take a look at Europe. Here we have the development of residential construction. 40% of our revenues from bricks come from Western Europe. That is United Kingdom, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. As you can see, the situation has changed somewhat. You will remember at the beginning of the year we had an increase in residential construction in the United Kingdom. Now we expect a decrease by about 5%. The Belgian market will also show a slight decline. However, in both countries there are positive signals from the governments. The British government focuses on residential construction in the coming years because there's a need for housing projects, and also the Belgian government has sent out very positive signals and has taken positive steps in with regard to the housing sector. The Dutch market is growing somewhat less than we expected at the beginning of the year, but it's a stable growth. Also, a growth of 1- and 2-family houses in France. So after several crisis years, the market has turned around. The big German market also shows a growth with regard to 1- and 2-family houses. We've talked about urban construction, but now we also see that there is a growth in the segment of 1- and 2-family houses, which is an important market for us. Eastern Europe, we have growth rates from Poland all the way through Bulgaria. However, the contribution to revenues is only 30%. So the decline in other Western European countries cannot be fully compensated, but we will improve the capacity utilization of our plants there. Let's take a look at the renovation sector or segment. You know that our that tiles and pipes contribute greatly to the renovation sector. 60% come from the tile sector. There's a slight decrease. Once energy costs are low, it is very difficult to carry out renovation programs. 60% of revenues come from roof tiles. The first thing that is going to be renovated is the roof. Secondly, on account of savings in the public sector, particularly in France and Germany, we've seen that there are fewer subsidies, which means that there are fewer investments in this sector, in thermal renovation. And we also need to consider that there are constraints with regard to monument protection spending. Altogether, the brick sector in Europe will show a strong growth at the end of the year. We also have a slight increase in residential construction. I've already mentioned the trends are going to be the same as they've been so far, a continuation of positive market development in Eastern Europe, an increase in new residential construction activity in Germany and France, a positive market environment in the Netherlands, higher uncertainty in Great Britain, and a market decline in Belgium, Switzerland, Italy, and Romania. I've already mentioned the increased market volatility, particularly in Eastern Europe. We will need to adjust to these changes, and we will definitely make sure that we will reduce our output if necessary, and this will be compensated for by lower energy costs, which actually means savings in the amount of 7 million. So there will be a compensation by additional energy cost savings. And this has already been mentioned by Willy van der Eet. North America, here we are going to see another increase, a volume increase, which overall will lead to a positive result. Pipes and pavers. Here, the trend in the first half of the year is going to continue in the second half of the year, which means that there will be fewer orders from the public sector in Central and Eastern Europe, fewer subsidies for these projects, particularly in Poland, but also in Bulgaria and Romania. When it comes to the international project business or sector, again, there will be fewer projects. So overall, the Pipe Life project will be impacted by that. Ceramic pipes, again, similar impacts. I've mentioned Poland, Eastern Europe. Poland will suffer to some extent. Altogether, however, we see a very positive development in a very difficult market environment in Central and Eastern Europe. In Northern Europe and Western Europe, we will see a very good development. Altogether, we can say that despite the difficult situation in some regions and some markets, the operating group EBITDA will be 405 million. This is before the impact of FX effects. These effects will have an impact on our results in the first half of the year with 5 million as a result of FX effects. For the entire year, it would mean about 10 million. This is why we said we have to deduct these 10 million. This was something we could not anticipate, but we hope that the FX effects will remain within this range. So the development of sales and also the development of prices will be able to reduce the inflation of costs. So this means higher margins. Depreciation will remain at the anticipated level. This also holds true for the net interest result, and we will have normal capex of 145 million and growth capex of 40 million euros. So despite the developments in recent months, the referendum in the United Kingdom, the weaker infrastructure markets in Eastern Europe, despite all these developments, we will be able to achieve a very good result for 2016. So thank you very much for your attention, and we are available for questions. And please wait for the microphone.
A question about the possibility of reducing production, which you mentioned. Are further plants scheduled for shutdown or closure? No, I can exclude that. We don't intend to close further plants. Of course, given the fact that demand in the United Kingdom is lower, we do make certain changes because capacity utilization is lower, and we also adjust production on the European continent, particularly regarding supplies to the UK. But we're not planning any plant closure. So as regards the real estate sale, it's all done. Do you expect further contributions? Yes, it's all done under this heading, but as we have so many sites and a lot of real estate, I'm not talking about prime locations in the first district of Vienna, but we do have real estate in rural regions, and we will again and again sell real estate in the coming years, but the order of magnitude will not be the same as during the past 3 years. Another question regarding the UK. You said residential construction will go down by 5% this year. What would be the limit for you as of which you might consider plant closures? And geographically speaking, where do you expect the biggest decline? And what is the UK's contribution to revenues altogether? Great Britain accounts for 10% of total revenues. So 10% the UK alone as a market. We don't expect plant closures, as my colleague just said. And the brick plants in the UK are all concentrated in the Midlands. And from there, we supply products to the entire country. We also have a couple of plants in the south. But our market is really spread out over the entire country. But our market is not London. We are building homes in rural regions. We're not building with reinforced concrete. So we are completely disconnected from the bubble or the non-bubble. London is not our market. England, the UK, is our market. Now, even after the referendum, we keep talking about a referendum. We're not talking about Brexit because Brexit has not yet happened and it hasn't even been initiated. So we're talking about England after the referendum. And July was at the previous year's level. There was no change in July compared with the previous year. And when you look at the market as a whole, cautious, well, I wouldn't call it optimism, but still we've come to terms with the result of the referendum, and calm has returned to the construction sector. We are not going to fall off the cliff, to quote the English. The situation is going to even out. We do supply less from the continent to Great Britain, but the British plants are operational, and we take it that given our regional distribution, we are well prepared to supply the British market. Well, talking about cash flow, you said that you invested in a number of smaller acquisitions. Could you tell us more about that? We took over a specialist in wastewater pipes in the Helsinki region. So that was one investment in the pipe sector. And we took over a clay block plant in the southwest of Poland and another one in Romania to the north of Bucharest. That was also a clay block plant. Those were the takeovers. And then a new plant for pavers, a Semmelrock plant, was built in Austria to the south of Vienna, and this plant is going to be started up before long. If there are no more questions, no, we have one more question. How about your profitability? You have so many different products. Some of them are highly innovative, but that, of course, calls for capital expenditure, and you have to earn that. Well, look at capital expenditure in the brick sector. Investments for infill plants are not major investments. It's not something that would have a big influence, and the payback period is between 2 and 3 years. So we do have increased profitability there, and we can also see that in our brick activities. Wherever we manufacture high value or premium products, profitability is going up, and we're going to continue along these lines also in the future. 2 more questions. How many plants did you have, operational plants, at the end of June? And as regards the pipe segment, you said that fewer projects or fewer orders were coming in the second half, in the first half of the year in Eastern Europe. Do you think there will be more orders in the second half? Now, answer to your first question, we have 201 plants. And the second thing is we don't expect a stimulation in Central and Eastern Europe in the second half of the year. We see no short-term indications. Poland, in the process of government reshuffling, all regional positions are being reappointed. People take some time to get working again, to start working again. So it may take a year or so. And in Romania, as you know, there was a huge wave of anti-corruption measures, particularly concerning public tendering and public contracts. So it was a cleanup process which took quite some time, and it will be a while before stability is regained. Of course, the new EU funding program in Central and Eastern Europe will stimulate the market in the years up to 2020. Of course, tendering activities take time. There is a certain lead time before a project actually starts. We have one more question. Again, about Great Britain. You said that Great Britain hasn't left the European Union yet. What would the Brexit really mean for your business in the UK? And a question about Germany. You said that business has gone up. Why is that so? German business has gone up because there is more new construction of single and two-family homes, and that helps us in terms of sales of clay blocks. As regards Great Britain, now, fortunately, the two of us, we're not politicians. We work in the economy. We don't want to go in for speculation. We go on working as if nothing had happened in Great Britain, and we take it that Great Britain will try and find a practicable and reasonable solution. Now, when I look at England and the demand for housing there, the demand for renovation and renewal, and when I look at the statements made by the Prime Minister regarding new housing construction, we are in a very positive mood as regards England in the coming years. Okay. Thank you very much, and we wish you a pleasant rest of this summer.